Our homes tell the story of those who live there. It's our one chance to show who we really are and influence the way our families live. At the end of the day, every material matters. I'm Anne-Marie Barton, about home. Today, I'd like to welcome you to my home. I can't think of a better place to show you how we really live and what really matters. For me, it's decorative lighting. There's no other part of the home that delivers a mood, a message, an eye candy quite like your lighting. So today, let's start with our outdoor sconces and lanterns. These I picked particular for my home because my style is a little bit vintage and a little bit modern. These lights radiate that, and they deliver that message right at the front door, where I think curb appeal counts. Come on in. Ever since I built the home, I wanted something fantastic in the center of this room. And it wasn't until I found this bubble light from Oli Studio that really intrigued me, and I knew it was the right fit because it wasn't vintage, it wasn't modern, it was obscure, and it was a talking point. I love the way it fills the room, but because it's kind of clear, it's not too large. In this room, I have a variety of sources of light. I love a lot of different lamps, and the way they look matters. When you look over at this table, I've got a candelabra lamp. I bought a pair of them, sold one to a client, and had to keep one for myself. Again, I love the flavor of the vintage feel mixed with the modern. Now we're in our kitchen. This is where we eat breakfast, and it's also where we have our holiday meals. So I have to go right in between, make it a little fancy, a little fun, by adding these vintage chandeliers that are rustic and natural against the very modern profile of this dining table. We've created what we call a secret combination. That's when you mix modern and vintage. It creates simplicity, yet a little bit of refinement. And to me, that makes my living style very comfortable, but interesting. As a rule, we typically hang our chandeliers about 30 inches off a tabletop. It's important to choose a light fixture that has enough chain so it doesn't look like we've stuffed it in to fit. These hang just about right in the space. And by putting these tall candlesticks in the middle to sort of celebrate the vintage style, again, it helps bring in the old against the very modern dining chairs and the whole rest of my kitchen. Now we're in my kitchen, and we're right next to the dining room. So you can see I've switched to a little more modern feel in here, and I think that combination really works. These simple pendants come way down onto the island to warm the island, to give it placement in my kitchen. As a rule, about 26 inches off the top of the countertop is a perfect place for your pendants to hang down. And don't forget your task lighting. Think less about recessed cans and more about your decorative lighting, because that's the eye candy. That's what makes all the difference. I love to talk about dimmers. They're the cheapest way to create a mood in the house, especially with lighting. You can see what difference it makes when I hit lower and when I go all the way up for those times when I need to. Otherwise, I'd much rather warm the space and create a cozy atmosphere with dimmers. Now's the time to talk about planning ahead when it comes to your lighting. It's not easily done mid-road. You have to think about it. So for us, we knew art would be a big component in our home. So instead of using a typical eyeball recessed can in the ceiling, we went with these modern spotlights. And they offer just a little bit of interest in the ceiling, and they really light the art beautifully. We also love lamps. I'm going to tell you, lamps matter, and they're not easy to find. So when you find one, wherever you are, grab it. It's likely to fit in. Instead of looking for something more typical, what about this floor lamp? You can easily show off your children's pictures and at the same time have interest in your rooms. The decor in this bedroom started with the chandelier. Of course, I love the personality of the beads and the jewels and the crystals. I needed it to ground the room with these high ceilings. I love finding interesting lighting along the way. Look for it, like these wonderful sconces we put on the headboard. Even the lamps in this room have a beautiful fabric on the shade, all answering to the personality of Sophie, who lived here. Now is a good time to point out why we love dimmers so much. Of course, we could just turn both the lights completely on, as you see here, but I'd like to reduce the amount of cans and turn those off and then dim the chandelier. It just makes it cozy and much warmer. Another important tip when it comes to lighting in your home is choosing your lamps. They're a great way to add personality and style to your home. I'm a little obsessed with crystal. I'm sure you've noticed while you've been touring my home. So when I saw this large piece of natural crystal in a lamp, I had to have it. Keep your eyes open and pick out individual lamps that are interesting and cool and fresh. Even though this is just my stairway, I knew it still had to deliver a surprise for the eye. So of course I added wall covering. I love the white, fresh, big emblems on this wallpaper. And then to complement it, the chandelier, which has a white drum shade and a lot of silver detail that I love. In the landings, I went with some vintage lamps. They're nice and tall. They add up to the scale in this very tall hallway. Okay, floor lamps matter too, and sometimes it's all about scale, something unique in the room that draws attention. This is an example of a flush mount, which means that it sits right on the ceiling itself. Look for interesting ones, not just the ones at Home Depot. Bathrooms are my favorite part of the house, so I'm always thinking about what sconce would make the bathroom. If it's a modern bathroom, I usually go for something chrome, very clean and sleek. In this bathroom, we have a little more eclectic personality, so I love this wooden sconce. Now, of course, I'm not expecting this to be the practical light. I look for the recessed cans to deliver the needed detail lighting, stuff I don't want to see in the mirror, if you know what I mean. But for looks and appeal, I love a sconce directly mounted on the wall. Again, you can imagine how important it is to plan ahead where that junction box is within a wall of tile. This is my studio, and of course I need to be able to see, so we're mixing the recessed cans and the decorative pendants. I love the pendants because they're long, unusual, and they give a warm glow, but I have to have the recessed cans to see everything, all of the details. So mix them up a little bit, plan ahead. It's important to know how long your pendants are and how to place the cans between them. This works great over your dining room table as well. You'll want your chandelier, but you'll need your little cans to highlight the food on the table. I've loved having you join me in my own home, where I can show you lighting that I think really matters. Lighting really is our greatest accessory. I'm Anne-Marie Barton, about home.